Welcome back. We are here yet again for another episode of Under Contract. And as always, I make it my goal to bring you enlightening conversations. And oftentimes it'll be about girl power, it'll be about boy power, it'll be a little bit of both, it'll be health, wellness, real estate, whatever it is. The bottom line is this: what agreements have you made with yourself? What commitments have you made with yourself? And as we have entered the new year, we are on this new, fresh start of life, whether that's business, financial, personal, or all of the above. And today I have two very special guests. I'm all about bringing awareness to businesses. I'm all about supporting local women who are, setting out on this entrepreneurial journey. And I have two very special guests today. They come from a real estate family, and they have grown up around negotiations. They've grown up around long-term visions and deals. And they have both taken this experience being exposed to commercial real estate, and they've made it their own. So they've taken the foundation their family has provided for them, and their approach to entrepreneurship is unlike anything, and it's rapidly changing in a very evolving market. So today, we're going to learn all about them. We're going to hear what it's like growing up in the business. We're going to hear how they think about deals, how they approach the business, and where they're going next. So let's get into it. Welcome, Bretley. Welcome, Delaney.
Yay, thank you so
Hi.
much.
Thank you so much. Yes, Tammy, this has been something we've been looking forward to for a long time. We've been following your podcast. You're someone we love. And so this is just such a privilege to be here. We're so excited.
Well, anytime that I can lift up my fellow women entrepreneurs, especially in this business that we're both, tied to, it's important that we're here for each other. And you guys just started your own podcast as well, Brick and Brand, the Brick and Brand
did.
Pod, for those of you, and we'll have information at the end. It's really about supporting one another and our journeys, right? I'm really about the story behind your why. And the biggest theme for me this year is, what is your pain to purpose? Right? That's my theme this year. So somewhere
Mhm.
along the line, you both decided, wow, we want to do commercial real estate, and we're going to get into it, right? So you both grew up in a real estate family, right? What's one lesson, and we can start with you, Delaney, what's one lesson you picked up before you even realized it?
That's a great question. Yeah, our dad's been in retail real estate for over 40 years.
Mhm.
And then Bretley and I's older brother started in the business about 8 years ago. I'll be honest with you, I really didn't know a lot about retail real estate.
Mm.
I grew up in a family where that was what my father did, and yet I still didn't know what it actually was
Right.
and how it affected my day-to-day living.
Right.
And so I think the biggest takeaway that my dad has taught me growing up is just that we are all consumers at the end of the day. And whether you know the ins and outs of retail real estate or not, you are interacting in the physical world with retail every single day.
Right.
And that propelled me to have more curiosity and want to learn more about it and figure out the whys behind it. Why
Right.
do brands choose their next location? And so I'm really grateful to my dad
Yeah.
for teaching us.
And you didn't even realize it
Yeah.
then. You're just
I
kind of
didn't
like,
even
yeah.
realize it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bretley?
Yeah, that's a great answer, Delaney, because that was something I hadn't even thought of. Our dad was really good at kind of modeling, living his lessons out through just life. So he didn't sit down with us and say, oh, this is what retail real estate is, or this is the way you need to be in the world. He just kind of lived it. And so as a kid, like Delaney said, you don't always notice the lessons until you're older and you can look back and reflect. But for me, I think it would have just been that find something that you love to do because you're going to work a lot in life. You're going to work hard. And so find something that you love and love working. Our dad was an extremely hard worker, and we learned since we were little kids, you're going to work every day. And so do it with a smile on your face and with a good attitude. I think that was the lesson that probably stands out the most to me.
Right. So was commercial real estate and retail real estate, was it always the plan for you both? Or was this something that what was there a moment when you said, okay, this is what we want to do, other than the fact that your dad modeled that sort of work ethic?
Yeah,
I
for
don't think
me,
it was,
definitely
ever
no.
in the plan.
Yeah, it was not a plan for us at all. And going off of, telling a little bit more about our father and how he led by example, he never forced real estate onto us
Mhm.
at all. And to Bretley's point, it was about finding a job and a career path that you love and that you can do for a long time. You can enjoy going into work and something that's meaningful, right? But he never forced real estate on us. And so we joke in our family that it was kind of reverse psychology and that he was living it day to day. And yet he was never putting the expectation on any of us to get into that field. And he really did a good job of setting our expectations and letting us know it's difficult industry.
It's a grind.
Not easy.
Yeah, it's a grind.
Yeah. And it's a long-term career.
Yeah.
It's not something you step into and, you're successful in 12 months.
It's about relationships too. Bretley, what was your take on that?
Yeah, no, it was definitely not in the plan. I fell into property management, which is technically a sector of real estate, kind of by accident after college. I was a sociology degree. I wasn't even a business degree. So I was not planning on doing it at all. And I would say about 3-4 years into my property management career is when I had the first thought of maybe I will go into retail real estate. And it took me about a year to actually make the decision and commit to it. But the first wheels started to turn probably 5 years after I graduated college. So really, it took a while.
Yeah. There's a learning curve there, whether it's residential, commercial, retail, all of the above. It's a massive learning curve. And especially as women, because our business is so predominantly male, that I feel, have such an upward climb just to make a presence, right? But that changes when women are more powerful and we have a voice and we use it. When did you both start thinking of yourselves as entrepreneurs versus retail real estate agents or commercial real estate agents? When did you think of yourself as an entrepreneur?
I feel like I've always thought of myself as an entrepreneur ever since I was a little kid, even though I didn't know that word until I was older. We talk about in one of our podcasts how I started my own business at 13, going around to the ranches in our neighborhood and painting fences and doing odd jobs. And of course, I didn't know what entrepreneurship was, but I feel like I've always kind of had that mindset about life. And when I joined retail sales kind of officially, I feel like I looked at myself as an entrepreneur almost immediately, even though in the first year you're kind of just taking orders and you're really just serving the senior people around you. You don't have a lot of capacity to think entrepreneurially right out of the gate. I feel like I still, pretty early on, I was thinking, this is my business. How can I think creatively about it? How can I do it differently?
Yeah. Delaney?
Bretley's been a fast charger since she was like 8 years old. So I would say you've always been an entrepreneur. But, I was in hospitality. I was a senior manager at a restaurant and I was like year 3 or year 4. And I finally just I saw the 5-year plan and climbing the corporate ladder. And I saw how much or lack of autonomy I was going to have. And I was like, no, this isn't for me. And so that's when I kind of started to explore some more entrepreneurial career path.
Right.
And that's when real estate became really, really appealing to me.
And it's freedom. I mean, real estate is the ultimate freedom for anybody, right?
Yeah.
Financially, schedule-wise, personally, professionally, it really is. So what do you feel, Bretley, this is for you. What do you feel has been the hardest part about building your own name, given that your dad's been in this business for 40 years?
Well, because I moved to Texas and I started my real estate career here, I really was not affiliated with my dad at all. And, it's funny, all 3 of us who are now in the business, we all have gone to our own firms and kind of had our own path. And my dad is a mentor to me every day. I was on the phone with him today going over some things that I didn't understand on a deal. But I don't ever feel like I was following, how do I put this? I never felt like he was overshadowing me or his presence in the business was something that people thought of first when they met me, because nobody really knows my dad in Texas. There are some people that do, but it always felt like from the beginning, I was kind of building my own unique name and presence and brand in the industry. But the hardest part, honestly, I think it takes time and it takes a lot of work and a ton of calls and follow up, and it just takes years.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just impatient by nature, as I think a lot of brokers and real estate agents are. It's hard not to be. And so I think just realizing I can work as much as I can, and it's still just gonna take time. I can't always force things through. That's a hard lesson to learn when you're used to kind of always controlling everything, and so that's taught me a lot over the years.
So I say this often, and I said this in a previous interview that I did earlier today, entrepreneurship, and if you're going to really peel back the layers, being in the real estate industry is the most um, intense spiritual journey you'll ever go
Mhm.
on. Like, if you don't have faith, because there are so many pivoting
Mhm.
opportunities in real estate as a woman, let's just go there, where we have to think quickly, we have to move quickly, and sometimes we work for free. I mean, let's just call a spade a
A
spade.
lot of times.
A lot of times, yeah, we work for free, but when you have that faith and when you're rooted in spirituality, and I know we all are here, we have a set of belief systems where we know everything's going to be okay and we'll be provided for. The doors open, the opportunities are there because the obedience is in doing the work, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes the calls won't come to fruition the way you want them to, but the fact that you're doing the work, that's where the blessing will be. So I think
Yeah.
that's something that we can really attest to just as females in business, period.
Absolutely.
Um, so Delaney, what's a memory or a deal or a moment that humbled you early on?
Ugh, how long do we have? I can name 20. I started with working with my brother, and it's been the most incredible experience because of how difficult it is to break into the industry. And so having him as a partner and a leader has been so incredible. However, there's also been a component of building my own brand
Yes.
and building my own name. And as we've touched on a couple of times, it's a male dominated industry. And so I can't tell you how often I'm in a conference room and I'm the only female and I'm the youngest by 20 years. And so I think that definitely kind of rocked me at the beginning and made me realize, okay, I need to be at the best of the best. I
Yes.
need to be on my A game every single day, and I will outshine these people and I will outwork these people. And so that's been humbling,
Yeah.
but I think it's also been really empowering. It's
Yes.
kind of two sides to
Yes.
that coin.
Mhm.
So I'm really grateful for it. In fact, I feel like it's motivated me to work harder.
I feel like the more challenging a deal is, the more grit it produces in you as a person,
Absolutely.
right? And I
Mhm.
always welcome the deals that if everything that could go wrong, I want it to happen because I want to learn from it because
Mm.
every deal is different. Every deal is different. You learn something differently each time. Bretley, what would you say separates a good retail deal from a great one beyond the numbers?
In terms of how it's handled from a brokerage perspective,
Or you as an agent, as a
yeah.
person who's actively in this business?
Yeah, well, I think as you know, Tammy and Delaney, you too, when you're working on a deal, the pieces can all be coming together to a positive outcome, and then they can kind of all fall apart overnight in 2 seconds, and it can be very emotional, disorienting. You're trying to keep your client calm, you're trying to stay calm, but you're still trying to bring everything together.
Right.
And I feel like in those moments, and I've done this poorly in the past and I've done it well in the past, but if you can stay really calm and always just think about what's best for my client and not it's not about you, it's not about making the deal, making a fee. If you can keep your cool in those moments and guide the client whether the deal happens or not, to me I can always be proud of that deal whether or not it has made. I mean, there's times in the past when early on when it's not that easy to do that and you maybe push a little too hard or you're impatient or you don't always put the client first, and those to me are lessons I look back on and I'm like, I don't ever wanna operate that way. So, a great deal, whether or not it's made, I think is just being handled with integrity and just always representing your client the best you can.
Well, we are fiduciaries, right? So we
Mhm.
have a
Yeah,
responsibility to them, and it's never about the fee. It's never about any of that. It's about serving our clients and their best interests. So I
100%.
love, I love that answer. What's one way you push each other? How do you push each other to make you stronger in the business?
Oh, that's a
That's
great
a fun
question.
one. So many ways.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of ways. Bretley, I have to say, she's one of the most inspiring people, and I know I'm biased. She's my sister, but she's easily one of the most inspiring people I have in my life.
Well, your mom is pretty inspirational
And her
too. So
mother.
you guys are like
Yeah.
really good apples from that tree. Yes.
But she's just so motivated. Like, literally, there is no task you could put in front of her that she wouldn't go, I can do that.
Mm.
And I can do it before 90% of my colleagues are even awake, and I'll get it done. And so
I love that, Lane. Right. I'm the same way. I
Yeah.
forget what time it is. I'm like, oh, it's 5 a.m. My clients aren't awake.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we're friends, Tammy.
No, this is true. You could text me at 5:30 and I would answer. That's the
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll wake up to 3 or 4 to-dos from Bretley.
Yes. I love her.
4:45
I
a.m.
saw that early with Bretley after our first meeting, and she sent me this long text message following up with a voice message. I'm like, this girl's my girl.
Yeah.
Like, she is so,
Yes.
like, I see so much of that in both of you. Yeah. But how do you push each other?
So, yeah, I think Bretley is just constantly inspiring me and motivating me to work harder and get more done and to just shoot for the moon, honestly. And,
Yeah.
don't settle for anything less. So, Bretley, you've always behaved that
Thank
way.
you,
and led by
Delaney.
example.
So sweet. Well, yeah, there's
Aw.
so
How about
sweet,
you,
thank
Brett?
you.
How about you with regards
Oh,
to
there's
Delaney?
so many ways. It's been so cool to see Delaney jump into the real estate business. Starting your first couple years is the hardest, right? I mean, that's when you just take a beating.
Hard.
And she has been through, like all of us, the ringer in your first beginning stages, and she's handled it just with so much positivity and grace. So I look at her and I'm like, how are you so positive when I know you've taken a beating today and yesterday and you'll take one again tomorrow? So she's very resilient. And so that inspires me, but also she has this incredible skill set that I do not necessarily come as naturally to me, which is she's very good at kind of diving down and figuring out how to solve a problem, getting very granular when you need to, and figure out this is what needs to happen to execute to get it done. I tend to be more of a visionary and I'm kind of see the big picture and I connect dots, but I sometimes have trouble with how do I actually execute this? And Delaney's an incredible partner, both in real estate and in brick and brand. And that's
Yeah.
why, I tell all my clients to work with her in San Diego because she will pay attention to the details. She'll also see the big picture, but she's not afraid to kind of zoom in
Right.
and figure out the small things that make something actually happen. And so that always has inspired me about Delaney, and I'm trying to be more like her in that way.
Right. I love when I hear two sisters, let alone two female entrepreneurs, support one another because, as you know, in our industry in this world, it's not people don't lift each other up as much anymore. I feel like there's so much, bringing people down. So I love hearing that that's the relationship the two of you have, that there isn't any competition because real estate is very competitive.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone's always comparing and what's that person doing and how are they doing this when really it's not about that. It's about you stay in your lane and do you because people will work with you because of who you are, right? And you are not your brand, you are not your brokerage, you are not any of that. You are you, Delaney, you are you, Bretley. That's who they work with, right? And I feel when you have that sort of relationship with one another and you can lift each other up, there's nothing you can't do, right? Which brings me to my next topic.
And I just want to say before you go on to the next question, I love that you made that point, Tammy, because I feel we all feel that competitiveness of the business, and it can weigh on you when you're approaching all of your partners and your peers in a competitive way rather than a supportive way, or I'm so happy for you, you made that deal,
Yes.
rather than jealousy. It changes kind of the whole way you feel about the business.
And
So I love that point.
unfortunately, our business, I mean, let's just go to social media, right? Every agent that's out there, whether they're retail, commercial, residential, or all of the above, it's always about my last deal. Let me post all the good things that just happened with this deal. And everybody out there that's, lurking on your page, oh my God, she did this or he did this, da da da. When you start going down that rabbit hole, you lose sight of who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not Susie, John, Tom, and Danny, right? You're Bretley, you're Delaney, and I'm Tammy. I am very good at what I do. You're very good at what you do. You're very good at what you do. People, and I believe this in life, the relationships, the opportunities, the experiences that are meant for you will find you, and there's nothing you can do about it. If God wants you to have it, it will happen. Period.
Yeah.
period.
I love that.
You do not have to manipulate it. You don't have to compare to what Susie just did. If Susie did a $3.5 million deal, that just means there's more for you to have later that's double, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
there is
Yeah.
no comparison because you can't, when you're a child of the Most High God, we have to every once in a while have to adjust our crowns because sometimes they get tilted. And when we adjust, we remember who we are.
Yes.
That's it.
Absolutely.
And
Amen.
when we can say congratulations to Sally who just secured that big retail deal, that just shows how evolved you are and that you know
Mhm.
your lane, that you're not them and they're not you, right? So that's
100%.
on that,
Absolutely.
right?
There's
I love it.
no wrong.
So with that, you have just ventured out into the podcast world, which I'm so excited for, and I love where you guys are going with this because it hasn't been done yet. Tell me about Brick and Brand, the pod. I know you've been we talked about this earlier last year, Bretley, where you guys were thinking about it and then you did it. How did Brick and Brand come to be, and how is it different from any other podcast that would be similar to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually going off of your previous question, it was born really out of us supporting each other.
Mm.
I was like 2 months into my career getting bulldozed every day, and I said, "Bratton, can we set up a weekly call? I need support. I need help. I need your guidance. I
love
need your encouragement." And that's literally how it was born. I was in the car, and you were probably in your office, and we were on our weekly hour-long call. And we would
I want that call. I don't ever get an hour call.
You got it, Tammy. We'll schedule.
But we would laugh, we would cry, we would talk about, deals that had tanked and then success stories. And it was so validating for me being early on in the business to where hearing someone who was much more experienced than I was go, that happened to me last week. You're
Yeah.
not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
That's called the business you're in. Get
Yeah.
used to it. right?
Welcome to adulting in real estate.
Exactly.
That's it.
Mhm.
Exactly. And so I think that kind of triggered something for us of like, wow, we're going through this. There's no way other people out there aren't also having these same thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
And there's just such a lack of exposure around retail real estate. I think we all interact with it as consumers, and yet none of us really know what goes into
That's
it
right.
behind the scenes. And there's, quite a bit out there about residential
Mm,
because it's more emotional.
it
It's a
is.
home.
Yeah.
And people can relate to that.
Yeah.
But I also think there's this whole other sector of retail that just hasn't been talked about. And it's incredible to see these brands put their entire life savings
Yes.
on the line
Yes.
to open up a storefront. And now you have a grocery store that you can walk to, or you have a coffee shop right up the street that you go to 3 times a week, and you've never once thought about
The story behind it.
how this
Yeah.
started,
Yeah.
how this got here.
Yeah.
So we love that, the brand building and how brands are bringing their vision to life and opening up stores and in the physical world. And so I think our goal is just to shed more light on that and
Yeah.
show people this is what it is.
It's about human connection when you break it down, right? Real estate period is about human connection. And with the reality TV as it is, it shows the glamorous side of real estate, whether it's
Right.
residential, retail, it doesn't matter. All they show is all the deals that are happening, the beautiful clothes that we're
Right.
wearing, the shoes, the trips we're taking. They don't see that, Susie and Tom are opening up their own storefront for the very first time. And they had to give not only their life savings, but they had to take a second mortgage out and they had
Yep.
to do this,
Yeah.
take that, whatever the
Yep.
situation is to get to storefront A.
Yep.
And then, by the way, their child has a disease that, there's so
Right.
many stories behind it that real TV fails to bring to the forefront because it's always about all the successes and this
Yeah.
and living our best life. When reality is you guys see, and it's that way with home purchasing as well.
Absolutely.
There is an emotional story behind their why. And I love that you guys are doing this and that you're bringing exposure to it and awareness to it because it's never been done before. So I can see you guys
Yeah.
getting picked up by Netflix.
Very much.
Thanks for putting that out there, Tammy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So Brett, tell me a little bit about what your thought process was with Brick and Brand because it's no easy feat starting a podcast.
No, it's not. And we both, are busy full-time jobs, really over full-time jobs is how much we're working. And I think something for me, and I actually didn't think about a podcast right away, but I remember when I started in the business for the first few years, being amazed at how interesting it was and how colorful and how dynamic. And I would meet so many interesting people, from the contractors to the landlords to the tenants. It was like everyone was interesting and different, and it was complicated and it was emotional. It was so many things that people love and that people consume. But when I would talk to family or friends, they still didn't really know what I was doing. It was like,
Okay.
you sell homes, or you do what? And there was
Mhm.
just a complete lack of understanding as to what we were doing, even though it was such an interesting and dynamic
Right.
marketplace. And I've always been interested in, what are people not doing? What's going to
Mm.
come next? What's kind of something, how can I do an industry or a field, but think about it in a way that's totally different? So I
Right.
had the wheels turning for some kind of a media venture. And I'd kicked around ideas with Delaney. None of them were podcast related, but I knew that there was a white space, and always look for white space. Whatever you're doing, there's white space somewhere. And so those were thoughts I was having, but I was honestly too busy with my real estate career to really think about it. And it wasn't until Delaney and I, as she mentioned, kind of started talking, that we realized, a podcast, it's a ton of work, but it's a great first stepping stone to build a larger media brand. And then
Yeah.
something that's important that I don't want to leave out of the conversation is just, it's important to us to bring accessibility, to bring real estate and make it more accessible to everyone. I
Right.
felt like a lot of people feel like real estate's very exclusive. Unless you have a family member, unless you have connections, you can't get into real estate. Like, don't even think about it. It's just too out of reach. You can't invest in properties. It's too difficult to understand. That's what the majority of the public feels like. And I don't think that's right. I think real estate's just an incredible avenue for wealth building, and I want to see people who maybe would never have the opportunity to be part of the real estate conversation or to understand it, to hear us and feel like, no, I can do this. I can
Yeah.
learn a little something about real estate. I can invest a little bit of money that I have into a small deal to build wealth for my family. So that's a
Right.
piece of it that's not so much about media as it is just about giving back, but that's an
Right.
important piece to me, because I feel like real estate professionals have almost purposely kept it exclusive.
Right.
And I understand the thought process why you would do that, but I don't think exposing it to more people means less income for anyone in the business. I think there's enough for everyone to
Yes.
participate.
It
So,
goes back to that comparison and competitive thing, right?
Yep.
When you
yeah,
when you are thinking from a place of lack, then it's going to have lack.
Right.
When you're
right.
thinking abundance, there's so many opportunities for everyone. And it's a big world out there, right? And there's a
Yeah.
lot of lives you need to help. There are a lot of people and families that you need to help. Um,
100%.
so fact or myth? Give me a myth about the retail space.
A myth that's out there. Okay.
It's all old men in suits and stiff-soled shoes.
And it's boring. It's just
And it's
boring old
boring.
real
That's a good
estate.
one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah. It's
that's a
far
big
from
myth.
boring.
Far
It's far
from
from
it.
boring.
Yes.
We're in a world of a lot of misinformation, right? And especially with being fiduciaries in real estate, we have to be very careful with what we say and share. We have to make sure it's factual.
Mhm.
Um, what would you say are some of the areas of great misinformation in your space? If somebody were
Hmm.
looking to do their first storefront, like what would, for example, in the residential side, a lot of consumers go to YouTube for their information. And my rebuttal is always, YouTube is great. However, YouTube isn't your local professional.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
what are some misinformation areas, if you will, in the retail space that maybe if
Well,
somebody were to go online and say, "Oh, well, YouTube told me this about, doing my first storefront." What are some
yeah. I just think there's so many nuances to business and to real estate. I've had
Mm,
clients say, well, I don't think Dallas is a good market for me because my friend opened some stores and he's not doing well.
right,
And my other friend said this. And as soon as we dig in a little bit further, we see there's a much bigger picture there. So, misinformation, I have seen a lot of that, of talking to people who are not local, who don't know the market, and
exactly.
making decisions without using local professionals. So that'd be one
Exactly.
area I've
Yeah,
seen.
Yeah,
yeah.
totally agree.
It's true, and again, with the access, there's so many so many ways to get information now, whether it's the internet or
Right.
otherwise, and social media, whatever's trending, and people take that at face value versus, well, wait a minute, what does your local professional have to say about this?
Yeah.
What does your local professional who's been in the business for 10 years have to say about this, right?
Right.
Just this
Right.
day in and day out, and
Yeah.
always, and I know on the residential side, inevitably I'll have a client whose father's sister, brother used to
Yep.
be in the business, and they told me that I should do X.
Yep.
And mind you, that person hasn't been in the business for 80 years.
Mhm.
So you're like, okay, wait,
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a family member, 80 years ago. And you see what I'm saying? So there's
Yeah.
so much
Yep.
misinformation out there. And as their fiduciary, you have to guide them
Right.
the right
Mhm.
way, right? There's so much
Mhm.
out there. Okay, I've got some rapid fire questions. Are we ready
All
for
right.
this?
Yep.
First thing that comes to your mind, okay?
Okay.
So when I ask this, so we're going to start with you, Delaney. First job you ever had,
Swimming lessons.
Bretley.
Painting fences.
Biggest lesson learned the hard way.
Ugh.
Oh,
Failing
that's a
and
hard
having to
one.
get back up and start over.
Not taking it personally.
Yeah, not taking it
Bretley.
personally.
Biggest lesson learned the hard way. Yeah, never exchange your time for money for someone else
Oof.
to build their company.
Good one. Good one.
I did that for 5 years.
One non-negotiable skill in commercial real estate, retail real estate. One non-negotiable
Oh.
skill.
Gosh, integrity.
You would think that would be normal. Hello.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ready? Cash flow or appreciation?
Can we say both?
Yeah.
Okay, here we
I mean,
go.
you need both.
Relationship or negotiation?
Relationship.
Relationship. for
10,000%.
sure. Yeah.
Risk
Yeah.
taker or calculated?
Risk taker.
Taker.
Woo, I like that both of you
Yeah.
answered that. Best advice you've ever received?
Oh gosh, that's hard. It's really in line with what we've said or what you've shared
Yeah.
in this podcast, but the saying that sticks in my head, and I've used this over and over, but what's meant for me won't pass me by.
10,000%.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
One habit that changed your career, Bretley?
Probably starting my day early, honestly. Being up before anyone else and being to the office early.
Yeah.
I think that's really changed my career.
Favorite market trend right now?
More indoor recreation and indoor recreation.
Okay, this is for both of you. One word, Bretley, that defines your business mindset.
I was gonna say aggressive. But I'm just gonna be honest, that's the first word that came to my mind.
That's a good one, though.
One word that describes my what?
Business mindset.
Business mindset. I would say curious.
Yeah. Always learning.
Yeah, I
Always
always want to be learning.
If there's one thing that you would want the person on the other side of this to take away from this conversation, or if there is a young female, young male out there that's expressing an interest in this space, what would you want that person to walk away learning from this conversation that we just had?
Oh, that's loaded. Well, there's so many good things we've touched on, but support each other, lift each other up. Tammy, you do such an incredible job of empowering the people around you, especially women and, startup companies and entrepreneurs. And just knowing that having that abundance mindset, building each other up. And my dad always says, you can't get to the top unless you turn around and reach the person, help the person up behind you.
So true. So
yeah.
true, Brett.
And I want to answer that one. That's a good one. I would want, if someone's listening to this, interested in real estate or any other entrepreneurial endeavor, I would want them to know that that nothing is out of reach. If you put in the time and you really want something, you can do whatever you want. So if you want to be wildly successful in real estate, you can 100% do it. I don't care your background, your skin color, where you're from. That's what I would want people to know.
Totally agree.
So, what's the and this is the final question, what's the very first move someone should make if they want to break into this business? Delaney.
Break into being a retail real estate broker. Start talking to people right away. start having interviews, meet with other people who are in the industry. There's so much knowledge you can gain just through conversation and picking somebody's brain who's been in it. There is a huge barrier to entry, but to Bretley's point, that should not stop anyone
No.
because you can do whatever you put your mind to. So start having those conversations early on, get your real estate license, and
Yeah.
just, push through and see the goal and the vision at the end, and know that you can get there if you're willing to put in the work and the time.
Bretley?
I think Delaney's right. It would be find at least one person in the business, however you can, through friend, family, foe, however you can connect with that person, pay for them to go to lunch or to get coffee and ask questions, and then ask them to introduce you to one other person and just keep going until you have a small network,
So it's
especially if
relying
you're
on
not
your network.
connected.
Yeah, relying on
Yes.
your network.
Yeah.
So Brick and Brand, how can where can they access Brick and Brand? To share with us the platforms that you're on, how frequent can they see episodes?
Yeah, so Brick and Brand drops an episode every Friday.
Okay.
We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube as well if you want to watch on video. And then check out our website. We have a cool function where you can submit brands. We're always trying to learn about new brands in different cities and different states, um, and then ask us a question, something we might not have answered on the podcast or something we might not have shared. So every episode comes out on Friday.
Okay. And how can they get a hold of either one of you? Because for those of you who are watching, they both are in the retail real estate space. Bretley is based out of Dallas. Delaney's based out of San Diego. So for any of you who have retail real estate needs, Delaney's your girl. So Delaney, how can they get a hold of you? Where can they access contacting you?
Yeah, well, our contact information is on our website, which is thebrickandbrand.com. Or you can go on, search my name online as just Delaney Roach, real estate broker, San Diego, and all my contact information will come up, email, phone number, all of that. So,
And Bretley, same with you?
Yeah, so you can message us on Instagram. You can send a message on our website, thebrickandbrand.com, or you can also put in my contact, Bretley Roach, and I'm with a company called Segovia Partners in Dallas, and I'll pop right up.
Okay.
So definitely send me an email.
This is it, because it's all about supporting one another and our businesses. And as always, when we come to you with our platforms, this is our opportunity to share the voices that we feel are important in our life. And this very platform is that, to bring awareness, like I said, to women, their businesses, their projects, their purpose. It's all about really lifting each other up. So I'm grateful that we took the time today. I'm excited to see where both of you go with your careers and where you both go with this podcast. Whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it. Don't let anything stop you. And for those of you who are watching and you have a desire to become an entrepreneur, or you are an entrepreneur and you need some sort of guidance, reach out, talk to Delaney, talk to Bretley, reach out to me. But at the end of the day, it's about being true to yourself. So whatever commitment you've made to yourself today, this 13th or 14th day, whatever it is, of January 2026, honor that commitment, because that is showing up for yourself. And these two girls have made that decision to show up for themselves. And for all the young girls out there that are looking up to them and aspiring to be business owners, you can do it. And I appreciate the two of you for what you're doing. You're trendsetters. You're blazing a trail of your own volition, and I love that. So, as always, we love you out there. Happy New Year. Peace out.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Tammy.
you.